Sup guys? Banana plugs versus SpeakOn connectors. I personally don't like using banana plugs just due to how inconsistent they are with connections. If you know Benchmark, the company that makes those fancy DACs, predominantly Sabre DACs, they may use other chips as well, not too sure. But I know a lot of their previous DAC models have used Sabre chips. Benchmark is also known for disliking the use of banana jacks. They prefer SpeakOn connectors. If you look at their low distortion power amplifier, they actually use SpeakOn connections on the back. It just allows for a more secure connection. SpeakOn connectors are locking, so even if you move your gear around, there's a high likelihood that contact between conductors is maintained. Now there are locking banana connectors. These are the Parts Express variety. Benchmark also sells cables with locking bananas. They use these types of connectors. This kind of cable, you can get it at B&H, or you could actually purchase it through Benchmark, I believe, or you can make it yourself. These are basically just Canary 4S11. Yeah. These are Canary 4S11. So heavy gauge speaker wire, terminated with locking banana connectors. And these are basically Nakamichi connectors with a logo on. You can actually purchase these types of connectors yourself and assemble it on your own. The way they lock is in the center of the actual plug itself. There is a pin, and when you twist this pushing upwards, it pushes up on these two pins and pushes up on the center pin, and that pin will cause the connector to expand. You'll basically get a strong friction fit from the connector and the banana jack on your power amplifier or speaker, and that's a way of locking down the connection. But I personally find that very difficult to deal with, especially if the rear side of your gear is not the most easy to access. Maybe you've positioned it at an inconvenient location. So what I do is I actually make these SpeakOn jack terminated cables. These just use screw terminals. You can actually get Neutrik SpeakOn jacks with solder tabs on if you wish to solder to them. Choice is up to you. So these are just SpeakOn jacks that normally would be mounted to the panel of a power amplifier, or maybe to the back panel of a speaker, more like your pro grade speakers or your live sound speakers. Got some Canary 4S8 speaker cable screwed into it, put some heat shrink on the end, and I've just twisted and tinned the wires on this end. You only just need the two conductors, but I do have speakers that make use of separate terminals for the tweeters and the midwoofer, rather than using those hard copper bridges that often don't provide reliable connections. I'll just have a conductor go into each of the binding posts and then lock that down. And this gauge of wiring is plenty good enough. You really shouldn't have any issues unless your speaker runs are upwards of 60 feet. The holes in the binding post where you'd normally push through bare wire, I would just push these ends in, screw it down, lock it down tight, and I'd never deal with banana plugs again afterwards. I'd just be locking and unlocking SpeakOn cables, which you can easily make yourself. Get some SpeakOn connectors, Neutrik ones, I recommend, from Germany. These are water resistant or waterproof connectors. Not necessary, but I like the look. Very heavy duty stuff. And there's just some 12 gauge copper wiring. Pretty much all my speakers will be using these DIY quick disconnects. All my power amps will have it as well. And then I just attach them via SpeakOn. They lock down. If you want to release, just pull down the lever, twist to the left, pull out. It's as easy as that. Want to place back in, push in, twist to the right, locks down, and you've got a solid connection. It's just exceedingly convenient. All my amps and speakers use this connection. If you have a professional grade amp such as a Crown or a QSC or a Yamaha, they typically will use SpeakOn connections, and you could just plug in your SpeakOn cable directly to your amp. You don't have to make these quick disconnects. But most consumer grade speakers will have 5-way binding posts, so you're gonna hook this up to the end. It'll be dangling off the back like this, and you'll just make the connection. It's just really easy. You never have to deal with binding posts again. Don't have to deal with inconsistent nano plug connectors. Just solid SpeakOn connections.